Us backpackers are always looking for a great place to hike. If you've done any amount of online research, all the top 10 lists seem to be the same. The John Muir Trail, the Wonderland Trail, the Grand Tetons, you get the point. But are there any great places out there to hike that aren't on those lists? The answer is a resounding yes. I recently had the opportunity to do a 2-night backpacking trip in a fantastic place that I've never seen on anybody's top 10 list called the Black Elk Wilderness. In this video, I'll share a plan for a 25-mile backpacking loop in the Black Elk Wilderness, along with my ratings for things like water sources, camping, trail quality, etc. Let's go. The Black Elk Wilderness is found in the world-famous Black Hills of South Dakota. My trip started at the Centennial Trailhead, which is a little bit less than an hour drive from Rapid City. There are several other trailheads from which to choose, so you have plenty of flexibility for where to park. The wilderness itself is a gorgeous area with beautiful ponderosa pine trees, impressive geologic scenery, and a variety of wildlife. The trail winds through beautiful pine forests with plenty of rock formations for viewing. Note that after about a mile on the Centennial Trail, you'll come across the Grizzly Bear Creek Trail for just a bit, and then you've got to turn back onto the Centennial Trail. A couple more miles and you'll get your first glimpse of Mount Rushmore. There's a great spot to stop for a snack and take photos with the presidents in full view off in the distance. After a while, you'll come to a spur trail that is about 0.8 miles long that will take you directly to Mount Rushmore. You'll need to cross a road and head through or across a parking ramp to get to the park itself. They have public restrooms and an ice cream shop, always a welcome sight to backpackers. After admiring Mount Rushmore, you'll take the spur trail back to the Centennial Trail and continue north. The scenery here is great, and as the old saying goes, the photos don't do it justice. After a few miles, take a left on Willow Creek Rushmore Trail. There was a pretty nice camping spot about a quarter mile past the stream, with the only downside being that it was a quarter mile from the stream. When camping here, there are some awesome areas for rock climbing that provided some epic views. Our friend Hattrick decided to be a bit risky, but hey, we got some nice pics to send his family in case he didn't make it back down. Here's a look at the route that we took on day one. If you camped on the Centennial Trail, the next day you'll continue north and then take a left on the Willow Creek Rushmore Trail. Head west until you reach trail number 9 north. Take a right and then follow that until you arrive at the Willow Creek Trail. You can go left or right here as both end up in the same spot and are similar in length. In a little over a mile, you'll reach the Lost Cabin Trail. This is a beautiful trail with great views. After around 5 miles or so, you'll have several options for where to go depending on how many miles your group wants to do. Our group chose to take a left on the Lost Cabin Spur Trail and camp near the junction with number 9 south. This put us in a great position for a sunrise summit of Black Elk Peak in the morning. If you chose to camp here, you'll find decent spots to camp up the hill to the north and also right up the trail to the south, all within close proximity to the creek. Here's a look at the route that we took on day 2. A lot of times when you're backpacking, you'll come across an opportunity to do a side trip. If you're like me, sometimes you do the side trip, and other times you get there, you look at the spur trail, and you're like, it just seems like a lot of work, and you skip it. However, trust me folks, the side trip to the top of Harney Peak is not one that you want to skip. Do yourself a solid and just do it, and if you want to step it up a bit, you can even get up early and do a sunrise summit. My group agreed that we wanted to see the sunrise from the top of Harney Peak, so we woke up at 3:15 a.m., got packed up, and were on the trail by 4. It was a little bit dark, but our headlamps did the trick, and pretty soon the first light of dawn was helping to light the trail so we could see where we were going without even using our headlamps. The views from the top were absolutely breathtaking. Here's the route we took on day 3. After the side trip to Black Elk Peak, head to the Norbeck Trail and take that about 5 miles back to the trailhead. Here's a look at the full 3-day, 2-night route. It's around 25 miles, but it's over 30 miles once you add in the side trips to Mount Rushmore and Black Elk Peak. Now let's talk about ratings. For scenery, I rate it 5 out of 5 stars. The ponderosa pine forests are great, and then you add in all those views and rock formations and Mount Rushmore and Harney Peak. It's really just fantastic. You're sure to find plenty of photos that you can hang on your wall. Now for camping. Camping, I rate 4 out of 5 stars. I would have given it 5 stars. However, it can be a little bit difficult to find a spot at times, especially if you have a group of 4 or more people. If you look around a little bit, you can find some nice hidden away spots, and overall it's really not that bad. One thing to keep in mind though is there are a lot of dead trees. I think there was some sort of a beetle infestation out there, and so when you're pitching your tent, you really got to make sure you're not putting it near anything that could fall down in a windstorm. Also, please note that there are no campfires allowed in that area. Water is 4 out of 5 stars. Our trip was in May and there was water pretty much all over the place. We never really went very far without running across some sort of a stream. However, online it said that a lot of the smaller streams tend to dry up later in the year. The water was a little bit silty, so our Sawyer squeezes were tending to get somewhat clogged after just 3 days. If you're going to be there for any duration of time, you probably want to make sure you have your back flush syringe with you. Also, the water on the east side of the park had a little bit of an algae-ish flavor to it. And you had to add stuff like coffee or Propel or that kind of stuff to it. If you got to the west side of the park, that water was fantastic. The water out of the streams tasted like it was coming out of a fresh mountain stream. If all the water in the park tasted like the stuff on the east side, I would have rated it 3 stars. If all of it tasted like the stuff on the west side of the park, I would have rated it 5 stars. So I settled on 4 stars and split the difference. Trail conditions I rate as 4.5 out of 5 stars. The trails were in great shape and well maintained. There was a sign at the trailhead about some wet conditions, although we never saw anything other than the small puddle that you had to step over. The only criticism I have on the trails is they could be a little bit better marked. There were some signs here and there, but I would definitely take a map with you and check it anytime you're coming up to an intersection. My overall rating for the Black Elk Wilderness trip is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Quite simply, give this one a shot and I doubt you'll be disappointed. One quick logistical note, a permit is required to backpack in the Black Elk Wilderness. The good news is it's free and there are kiosks available pretty much anywhere you would enter the park. Simply fill out the form, 1 per group, and keep it with you while you're backpacking. It's as simple as that. In my opinion, the Black Elk Wilderness is an amazing place to go backpacking. The variety of trails and trailheads gives you the flexibility to do something as short as an overnight trip or plan a much longer trip of 30 miles or more over several days. The added bonuses of Harney Peak and Mount Rushmore truly make this a hidden gem. If you found any value in this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great hike!